Some of what was considered the new science, or quantum reality, has been known about for well over 100 years. You were just conditioned to disbelieve it. Nikola Tesla was so far ahead of the pack, in some ways he rivaled our hero Einstein. Tesla knew 100 years ago what the scientists are now grappling with. Everything is energy and vibration, and there is no steady state reality as was once thought. The possibilities were both a unified theory as science claims to seek, and of course free energy in simpler terms. Limitless, easily extracted, non-polluting energy would empower the general population and loosen the banksters and corporate stranglehold over the people's free time, thoughts, and most of all, their wallets. Do a little research on Tesla and compare it to some cutting-edge new science. You'll see he was a genius even by today's standards. Why he was vilified, why he lost all funding, and died broke and his research buried. I leave you with a quote and its implications. If you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Many are now asking the all-important questions, like what is consciousness? Most of us are unable to define the most basic element of our existence. Where is the science of consciousness? What are the limits of consciousness? Where does our consciousness reside? What color is consciousness? What form does it take? Does it vibrate or emote? Are there quantum micro aspects and cosmic macro ones? We know it exists because we are asking a question, so we know we have an individual or local or singular or centered version of consciousness. The question of creation and intent and of evolution and soul can best be understood as non-local or shared or consensus or higher consciousness. If we allow ourselves to consider such a perspective, I would suggest that near-death experience, astral traveling, clairvoyance, ESP, shamanism, religious experiences, instincts and evolution, links with animals and nature, spontaneous knowledge and creativity, and for that matter creation itself, no longer require a mystery pile to live on. Although I admit it is a big leap, there is a great deal of information to confirm this, and it pretty much does in the mystery pile. Another angle on all of this takes place at the quantum level. Everything in our bodies and in manifest third-dimensional reality is made of atoms, and they in turn of the bits that make them. Basically, non-localized energy is what everything solid and not solid is made of. When localized or gathered, it forms matter. 3 problems arose from this realization which exemplify the fact that our theories don't explain the building blocks of matter at the quantum level. The science now proves beyond a doubt that how we see our world isn't really how it is. Entanglement and non-locality are intrinsic properties at the quantum level. This means 2 things. At the point the energy forms to make particles, they are non-local, which means this energy is everywhere and nonetheless has localized or made matter. Entanglement means all these particles which form from these energies are linked, and anything you do to one particle instantly occurs to the linked particle, since it all came from one singularity. You do the math. This defies the speed of light rule, since this information is communicated instantly, even over universal distances. In short, the rules don't work at these levels. The next unsettling realization factored in our conscious observation of particle phenomenon. This is known as the particle wave problem. The observed particles seem to flip inside out, or change states and turn into an energy or wave when fired through slits in the laboratory. The problem is they don't turn into a wave if you watch. The conclusion is they are one thing in 2 states, and the observer alters the results. Our conscious observation of this part of reality and science which fails to consider the observer as part of the experiment is no longer possible. This is a big problem to objective science. The third quantum problem becomes the realization that all the possibilities exist until one is consciously selected. This can be understood in that this is how the energy of an atom works. The electron can be in more than one place at the same time. One way to confirm this is that the electron around the atom can change orbits, but instantly does so without crossing the intervening space. Another confirmation is that if you locate the electron in time, its location is uncertain. Likewise, when they seek to pinpoint the location, when it will appear becomes uncertain. This is further confirmed by findings in particle accelerators, which also find particles by location or time, but not both. Now I'll blow your mind a little. The particles that make up our reality are both energy and matter in alternate states. And those bits are both localized by consciousness while remaining fundamentally non-local in nature. This reality was constructed for or by consciousness. I would suggest both, which leads to my next point. We really do live in a holographic reality, and the quantum physics backs this up. So what does this mean? And so you should ask. The concept of a holographic reality, simply stated, would be that everything is a fractal of an overall image. Sound familiar? So it should. Remember when God makes man in his image or likeness? Now just update the terms to hologram or fractal, and this should also cause a light bulb to come on. They just didn't have these terms yet, or the science to understand the nature of reality. Whoever inspired the people to write down and keep this information was at a higher level of consciousness than our ancestors, and even the bulk of us today. Our reality is an unbound, infinite fractal hologram when you start to understand the matrix we live in. When you get it, this becomes undeniable at every level of the fractal. Only we don't comprehend this yet because it encompasses consciousness and time, which are linked and similarly constructed. This is not a coincidence if you think about the fact that time and consciousness created everything, and you are looking at the fractal version or image from this perspective. When you stretch the parameters of a hologram, it starts to fail. For example, if you zoom in on a low resolution picture too far, it pixels out. Likewise, if you zoom out too far, the image gets blurry or pixels out. This is where we are with science, since when we look at too small of particles or waves, or look too far out into the cosmos, we have the same problem. When we exceed our focus of distance and time, light speed or size, everything pixels out, just like a picture. Now buckle up, because if ensoulment or spirit is based on consciousness, observation and experience is also holographic in nature, then not only does science, but likewise spirituality do a double backflip and a triple cannoli into the proverbial rabbit hole, and so it should. This all has major implications, and yet we don't see much discussion of this due to the serious revisions to faith, science, and society which would result. If you re-examine the information in science and the most ancient tablets from this view, more than I could possibly cover here will start to click into place. The universe is not random balls of mud and gases. The people who tell us this have lost their inner child and forgot to look up at the night sky. I mean, how could one come to such a conclusion? All right, by forgetting to account for consciousness and being all too happy with a very limited concept for all the endless variety of cosmic phenomenon. The ancients knew it was a cosmic clock. The ancients knew reality was a fractal reflection and told us it was as above, so below. They knew this meant energies, matter, and your cosmic aspect were reflected ensoulment. I really believe they were way ahead of us in this respect, since their concepts include topics like time, vibration, reflection, energy, and consciousness. We are now only reluctantly beginning to grasp these concepts. How did they know how this works and ask these questions tens of thousands of years before us? Here's a little proof of what I'm saying. There is much more, but consider this for one. You see, to the ancients, you were a star of the great star, or a heart spark of the eternal flame of God, and when you passed on, you went cosmic. This is why we can't read the inscriptions properly and don't understand the cultures, or why we misrepresent and fail to understand the obsession with time and the cosmos, and the high level of understanding for such an ancient culture. It was their religion, silly, and they were far more advanced in this development for their day, and in many ways ours, considering our gadget advantage. This is merely junior grade enlightenment training, in that this altered perspective will allow you to be able to get much more from Bibles or ancient concepts, glyphs, and symbols. And when the ancients were given this information from either long-forgotten descendants or spiritual beings in the past, they claim both, and maybe it's the same thing again. They incorporated these concepts into every version of faith in ancient documentation. This is the big secret or deception. This information is everywhere. So that's how you have to approach this problem. This was left for the future brothers and sisters, or us if you will. The cosmos is a shared cosmic consciousness, and the Earth but a playground or stage of development. This hologram is 14 to 22 billion years old, perhaps, and we are but moments old by comparison. What we call God is a universal awareness and consciousness of the whole. The universe in all its complexity is God in the strictest sense. Perhaps we shouldn't be screwing up our planet, or nuking the moon, or anything else for that matter. I see things differently as a result, at multiple levels. I promise to make you think and stimulate some new methods to do this, and I have a treat in this regard.